Well, here we are. This is what all the Alliance players wanted. It's time for me to shatter the very fragile egos that us Horde players have. And unsurprisingly, there's probably going to be a hell of a lot to talk about in this video. So by the time it's over, we can all suffer together. So it's time to sit back and relax, and join me on the journey to discover why you hate the Horde. So of course to start we have to talk about the leaders. And the Horde has definitely had a lot of them. First is the Pickle, aka Green Jesus, aka Thrall. Now Pickle Boy has always been a very important lore character in WoW, and has been remembered for doing lots of different things. The only problem is his memorable things mainly happened after he stepped down as War Chief, like with Deathwing and everything in BFA. And considering that there's so much more interesting things that the other War Chiefs have done, there's not really too much to talk about here. The main thing you need to know about what Pickle Boy did as leader is that he brought the Tauren, the Trolls, and the Orcs together. He also led the Horde in the Battle of Mount Hyjal, pushing back Archimonde and the Legion invasion. And then in Cataclysm, he decided to troll the entirety of the faction and put a raging lunatic in charge. Speaking of that raging lunatic, we have Garrosh, and let me tell you, he's a bit of a dick. He has an absolute litany of crimes, coming from killing Bane's dad to putting an old god's heart in a well in the middle of Pandaria. Some say this crime spree started after he was caught jaywalking in Draenor as a teenager. Nevertheless, it's clear to say he's never been the golden poster child of the Horde. Well, especially considering that he gave us the second worst expansion that the game's ever seen. Thanks a lot, Garrosh. But talking about the golden poster boy of the Horde, we have Vol'jin. After Garrosh was defeated the first time, the Horde looked to Pickle Boy for leadership, and he said, "Lol, no, I'm not doing that, just look at this troll instead." And so Vol'jin was the leader of the Horde. The Horde became stable again for the first time in a long time. Finally, the Horde would go back to its roots, become the honourable faction again that respects one another inside its faction. Under the new leadership of Vol'jin, everything was gonna be okay.
They're coming from behind! Cover the flame!
So Sylvanas is now leader, and she comes in with a pretty strong start. The most inspiring cinematic in the entire game, in my opinion. And even though there were better leaders out there, I mean, sure, they probably should have put like Bane or Lorthamar in charge, there was no way Sylvanas is going to be as heinous and atrocious as Garrosh. So anyway, the Horde's looking for a new leader again, and, well, they ask Thrall again, and he says, "Lol, no XD, piss off back to Dalaran." So they decide to make a council, and the most interesting thing about it is that 2 of its members are fucking. Okay, but on a real note, can someone please tell me why the hell there is so much fan art here? So yeah, the leaders haven't exactly been the best over the last few years, but the races don't make up for it. Although I do generally think that the races are better in the Horde, they still do have their downfalls. Of course you have stuff like the absolute roid-raging muscle man from the gym, his evil green twin, the mana addicts, the talking beef with deer antlers, the Tory trolls, the trolls that are in crippling debt and live in squalor, the bone bag emos, and that's coming from me, the face of Clash of Clans, and the pocket-sized, leg-humping furries. Here's the thing though, what the Alliance players actually hate isn't specifically all the races. It's more the 50% of all Alliance players that play Night Elves that are a little bit upset that Blood Elves have a better model than them. Understandable, to be honest. And I guess some of it's also, you know, what the cow jokes that the Taurens make, but guys, come on, they don't want to start any beef. Now it's time to talk about the main capitals. Silvermoon is an absolutely lovely and aesthetic place with amazing music, but you know what the problem is? It's trapped in 2007, with its map actually being in the Outland Zone, so you actually have to take a portal or something to get there, and the fact that you can't fly because the buildings are a little bit unfunctional in a working society nowadays. It doesn't exactly make it a hotspot. And then there is the strong and reinforced fortress, which is Orgrimmar. Now, the best way to describe it in my opinion is to describe it like a uni dorm. I mean, look at this place. It's functional, but it's not exactly homely, just like the reinforced Mud Hut City. And then there's the Undercity. Oh wait, yeah, no, we may have slightly plagued the place, but then we cleansed it, but then nothing's really going on there. You can't even use the Flightmaster there anymore, so bit useless. Thunderbluff, on the other hand, is in the middle of Kalimdor, actually in a kinda decent spot, and it actually looks quite nice and has pretty good aesthetic music. And considering that it's the home of the Darkmoon Fair portal, you actually have a reason to go there. Kinda like how you have a reason to go to Kazan. Except, you don't go to Kazan for a good thing, you go there because it's as useless as Gnomeregon, it's only a dungeon. And it's even worse because it's a BFA dungeon. Not the best. So yeah, the cities are pretty unfunctional and just sometimes downright shit, but at least we have Thunderbluff? Hold up, boys, we gotta stop it right here, because I just need to say that I finally, after 6 months of people telling me to do it, have actually made a Discord. So some of you had better damn join it, because now I finally have a place to spread and use my lovely custom GIF that I made of last video. And while we're there, we can also discuss that only 13 people are currently subscribed. Look, just listen to Airborne Bacon, even he agrees that here we have some pretty poggers fun big guy wow times, so you may as well just subscribe now. And remember, just don't trust him with your wait a minute. Now, if you've seen my last video about why you hate the Alliance, then you know that now is the time we gotta talk about war crimes. While I was doing my research to find out what the worst war crimes were, I found out this forum thread by this guy. And, yeah, I think it would take a very long-ass time to cover all of these, so we're just gonna stick to the top 3. Back in BFA, Sylvanas was pondering what the best way was to help the jailer enact his evil plans. She thought maybe she would take inspiration from history. At first, she thought she could take over a city and have its people try and take it back, but then she thought that's too crass. Then she thought maybe she'd try and take out a whole new race of people that are neutral between the Alliance and Horde because fuck you I can. Too derivative. She then looked into the past of the real world and she discovered 2001, so the plan was born to burn Teldrassil. But then she remembered that WoW planes aren't quite as fast as the Boeing 767, so she just had to make do with some catapults instead. Our other war crimes involved the use of weapons of mass destruction. Theramore was a lovely seaside city, full of life and love, but Garrosh was a little bit jealous because he had no love, and since he was a gamer, he had no life. So what was his crime in this scenario? Well, it was to say, I win, bye-bye, dropping nuke. Our last crime was basically more the multiple crimes used with one thing, the plague. And we've all seen all the different ways the plague has been used, you know, on the Undercity, on Gilneas, at the Wrathgate. But I'm sure as you're aware, as a part of the Geneva Convention, we shouldn't be using chemical warfare in war. It is a war crime in the eyes of the UN. But Sylvanas, she thought that the Geneva Convention was more of a Geneva suggestion, so she just went ahead and did it anyway. So yeah, the Horde has done some pretty big bad moves. Finally, we gotta talk about the Horde Ideology. Now, it's actually pretty simple. It's all about honor. Until, you know, it's not. And that's it, really. It's not for everyone, but it's a simple system. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to comment if there's something that you think of that should have been added in this video. If this video gets enough likes, then I might finally get my hair cut for the first time since December. Mainly because I'm always pushing it out of my eyes when I'm recording. And if you fancy it, you can check out this video here to discover why you hate the Alliance. God, I can't wait for all the Horde bias comments. They're going to be so funny. Oh yeah, make sure to join the Discord. For God's sake, a lot of work went into that. And a lot of time. Okay, maybe not, but, you know, it's there now. Alright, bye.